the Twin Towers, or the Triple Towers that I talk about. That's the fourth one being built behind. And there's another one further in the front, that's slightly shorter. Let me point go closer. It is that white little bit here, there, that building there, that white corner. That white corner is another X1 building. So you got these three towers, which is D, A, and C or B, and then you've got that one there, and then you've got another one building there. This building, if you've ever been, this building, yeah, you don't even, everybody in this area, there must be a reason why another reason why this area is so quiet. Anybody watching this be built knows that this is a building for greed and terrorism. This is how companies wrap their names and their companies. In all of these names, they get all of these English people signing for them, money coming from all over, money coming from banks from abroad, money locations in Russia, locations in China, locations in Saudi Arabia, and all these other dangerous places. They come here saying that they're coming to invest in the UK. They're here to invest in the area. And what they do is they come here, they bring their spies who are easy to immigrate here, who are susceptible to all this Islamic teaching about murder and killing and honoring God and all of that other stuff, and they put them in these buildings like this. X1, everybody in X1 is under 25, letting out properties. Look at the windows. Look at a normal window. Let me try and get. This is another apartment door, NV Buildings, yeah. That is a window and a balcony. This one here, you can even see a window, although not a great window. That one, this is another X1 building, by the way. That's why it's not even a good window. Look at the building next door. That is the typical build that we see in the UK. Balcony, windows that open. If you grew up in a council estate in the 90s, you saw a typical court. You saw how a court was built with windows that extend wide, all the way wide, with a front patch of grass, flats that had gardens, parks in front of them. That is a typical flat with a car park, gated car park. This doesn't even have a gated car park. The car park is empty and is part of the construction site of this building here. They coerced me to pay month's rent in advance, £6,500, to get this property because I was fleeing from my mother, who is a notorious abuser and has been abusing 4 children here in the UK since the 1970s when she immigrated here with my father, Kehinde Akinola. I've been abused for almost 3 decades, and each time I've tried to report it from teachers, all these other places, but London is such a chaotic place. I was sick and falling ill. So one part of my brain is able to do work really well. Another part of my brain lacked social skills. There was no one coming into the house, no friends in the house. Hadn't seen people in years, 15 years. That this company was on Rightmove, several apartments here in Manchester, and it seems to be the only apartments here in Manchester because nobody wants to actually touch the city and nobody actually wants to touch these buildings. All cities of the floor was completely plastic. In the lift is completely plastic. In the staircase is plastic. There's barely any fire emergency, fire briefing, no notice boards, nothing except 2 pillars of apartments ripe for genocide. That is terrorism. The building here is opposite Stupor. The building is opposite Stupor. Stupor is a private, it's the biggest UK, British, it's even global, private health insurance company. And you've got BBC here and you've got ITV here, right? Buildings like this are what Islamic terrorists use when they want to make jokes and be funny. When they want to laugh at British people, they want to laugh at the British media and British culture of being slow, of sitting at home watching EastEnders, sitting at home watching Coronation Street, we're sitting in offices working 9 to 8 p.m. doing stupid admin for old companies like Barclays Bank and other useless budgeting spreadsheets that people don't need to be doing, instead of being active in the country, learning about the England's history. In primary school, secondary school, we should have been learning about English history from the Normandies, Roman Empire, the Scandinavians, the Vikings, the original Britons that were here, to all of the history of colonialism, from the immigration from all over from different countries. All of these pieces of history broken down by period, so people can understand bit by bit how England came to be a country and also to be an empire, right? Now we're post-abolition slavery, around 65 years. Like most African countries have been freed since the 1950s, and the Commonwealth is now breaking down. Nobody's interested. Since the Queen has died, even before the Queen, people were talking about they don't want to be part of the Commonwealth. You know why? Because a new world is coming. A new world is coming, and English people cannot all run to Australia and all run to America. England is not an economy like America. That's not how things work. England cannot be abandoned as a country because England is a land. If England is a land, that means it is susceptible to any country coming in and bombing the place and terrorizing it and taking over and saying, this is now our piece of land, right? English people need to be aware of their own history, not having silly racist arguments about whose country makes better food than who, or who looks better than who, or who's got big ears and who's got big nose and who doesn't. No, we need to be understanding global world history from the baby level all the way to the adult level. That's how we stay smart, and that's how we stay knowledgeable. Instead, you've got cities like London, 30-mile radius of London, with 9 million people in there, all talking, all speaking, different cultures mixing and chatting rubbish and not doing anything for their country, not being active, not doing businesses for their country, not doing charity work for their country, not going to work and working 9 to 5 and doing work that is actually meaningful and changing the soil that they're on. Instead, we're working for international American companies. And where is the money going? The money is going to America and American pockets. And what do we get in return? A extra 5 days holiday, a 30-day holiday out of the whole year. When teachers get 4 months, what do we get out of the country for working in these admin jobs from age 21 to age 75? What do we get in return? What are we using our sabbaticals for and all this voluntary work? Voluntary work. There should be first aid training that is mandatory in the country. First aid, right? That should be mandatory. Instead, secondary schools are wasting time fighting, eating chicken and chips, spending countless hours, commuting 2 hours to get back home, doing useless subjects like PSHCE, sitting down copying a textbook and not using their brain, using their mind and logical thinking. If somebody was to collapse, they should know exactly what to do in case somebody had an accident, or their mother had an accident, or their parent had an accident, or their sister swallowed something, or whatever. There should be mandatory skills that we should have as children, including being able to build, doing electricity work, plumbing, DIY work, things that are mandatory for girls to do. Instead, you know what girls are doing in secondary schools? Fighting over the bus, fighting over who's going to get over the bus, fighting over bus deeds, doing postcode wars. First generation Nigerians are doing postcode wars and rapping about having the strongest Cockney accent and what area they're from. This is 2025. How long do you think that this country got here by itself? Do you think that everything stays the same every year? Do you think year on year things stay the same? Things have to change, things have to move on, things have to be improving. We need to innovate. England doesn't even have a space centre for learning. I've just went to a museum, it's called the Imperial War Museum. I don't see anything active in that museum except for decorations. No maths, no science, no use your brain to operate this aircraft and see where this aircraft is meant to fly. Things like that are for children to do. Not children saying, Mummy, can I have a sherbet downstairs? And running around being stupid. They need to be like African, Indian, Middle Eastern children, fast and sharp, yeah? They need to be like that. They need to be able to do things around the house, lift things, build things. Another thing I hate about this area, right? Let me tell you something about this area. This area, right, has all these local shops like Sainsbury's and Co-op, all these sandwich shops. And it's 21st century in 2025. You have Caucasians still eating sandwiches and bread when everybody needs health. Everybody is entitled to health. Let me get out the wind so that you can hear me. Everybody is entitled to health. And health starts at home. It starts with cooking. And it starts with having ingredients available to us. Ingredients like spices and fruit and vegetables and nuts at cheap prices where people can afford to. Instead, we're going to places like Pret, spending £15 and £20 on lunch, going to Prezos, going to all these stupid places, going to pubs, drinking our sorrows away because the country is sorrowful. The reason why people go and drink is because the country is not innovating. The country is not into education. It's into everybody being a scrounger and doing nothing. So you're unemployed. Anything that you're doing active, any active work that you're doing whilst you're looking for work, anything active that you're doing. So you finished your job, have something exciting to get ready for in the next day. I'm just gonna go at home and I'm gonna just sleep and go to the pub. This defeatist mindset in England. This simping defeatist mindset that you see around you is a disease. It's a disease. Things like there should be free skills for men and women, like construction, DIY, gardening, textiles, sewing. You shouldn't have to pay for it. These things should be free, because how much is a human being? The minute you don't know these skills, it's like you don't need to be paying for things, and you are now like an entrepreneur, knowing how to do things for yourself without going to a B&Q or going to a home base, knowing how to look around your area, pick stacks of wood to use them, pick flowers, pick things and use them for your house and use them to build. That's how we do it in Africa. That's how we do it in India. As poor as we are. And England is such a privileged nation, and there's people who are so lazy. They're not even proud of even the aircraft or war. Some of the things that they've done that are innovative, that require them to use their mind. Some of them are not even proud of it. You're asking them questions. They don't even know it. You know more history than they do. How can that be acceptable? Let me tell you something. Africans, black people, Indians need a place to go. They need a home to return to. They cannot be here for generations, year after year, taking up space when there's no space on the island. There's no space in this country. They cannot be here having their 5th and 6th, 7th child here that's Nigerian. They have to return home. Africa needs to be built. Israel needs to be extended, because we need a holy and peaceful globe to live on. It cannot be that Saudi Arabia and all these other countries are coming into and terrorizing Israel, and we have no safe place to go. They're all coming into Africa, building mosques and building Islamic terrorist groups and Boko Haram, and we have nowhere to go. We need countries that are safe. We need Nigeria to have 24 hours electricity. We need corruption in Nigeria to end. These are things that need fixing. The countries need fixing. We don't need laziness and people spending their hard-earned money, going to Pret and going to Tesco and eating and buying £20 lunches and not investing in crypto, investing in Bitcoin, investing in the stock market. Things that they should know from secondary school, how to make money and invest. Since you're going to start working from the age 16, since you're going to get your national insurance, you should start knowing how to invest and how to spend and keep your money, and know what is worth pursuing in the country that you're on, in England. Child abuse, parental neglect, laziness, escaping responsibility as a citizen of, first of all, as a citizen of the world, and then as a citizen, being lazy. It is absolutely barbaric. Let me tell you, this centre here, this Lowry here, empty. This theatre place, empty. You know what it should be? It should be a studio. Why do we need theatre? Why do we need it when we need studios? We need UK entertainment. Nando's here. Why is there Nando's here? Barely anyone there. Same thing with what do you call it? That Active Health Club, the Virgin Active Health Club, and the restaurants there, all empty space, empty retail space that can be turned into entertainment hubs for the United Kingdom, entertainment for United Kingdom, education and entertainment for United Kingdom. You know what we don't need? We don't need more stories of Sarah in the kitchen, making cups of tea in a wet, damp kitchen and sobbing. We don't need more stories of Sally at the beach crying and weeping over her divorce. We don't need that. We need agility. We need to see English people speaking African tongues, speaking Yoruba. No one wanted to know more about the country. No one wanted to know more about their own African heritage, their own African lineage, their own ancestry. We need to be speaking multiple languages in school, not one language. You learn a bit of Spanish and you learn French, and it all depends on your class and what AQA book and what EdXL book you get. It needs to be international education. From primary school, learning languages, Latin, Hebrew, Aramaic, all the languages of the world. It needs to be learning. University degree with language. There needs to be a sharper education system than all this kind of like, we're just kind of hanging around and kind of just doing nothing. 3 years to finish a degree. 4 years to finish a degree. What are you doing? What are we doing in the classroom every hour that we need to be there for 3 years? What are we doing in the classroom what are we doing in the classroom that we need to be there for 4 years just to tick a box? Are you kidding me? A degree can be done in months, weeks, months, and a year. And if you want to have a longer degree, there needs to be something active, employment-based, that you're doing in the degree. Am I not speaking sense to so many people? Am I not speaking sense? This is the crisis that we're facing in the United Kingdom. That everything is hunky-dory and everything is all right because we see things on TV, we see things, trains running, bus running because of America and because of a Kim Kardashian and a bikini and a gym. We think everything is hunky-dory. Let me tell you about the gym, right? The gym only started in 2009, 16 years ago. People only started going to the gym 16 years ago when it was essential to exercise. That's the UK for you. Always behind. Consuming content that is behind going to the gym and doing protein bars. Now we have actual real food instead of the milk proteins and the gluten and all the other crap that they put in our food, like sugar. Now, only now in the last 16 years that's happened. What do you think is going to happen now for the next 16 years? Are we not planning ahead? Or are we looking at digital marketing and cookies and influencing like it's still a relevant industry? Are we hiring for companies still like L'Oreal and MAC that are now obsolete? MAC Cosmetics is an obsolete company. All these makeup companies, obsolete, gone, finished. What are we doing now in our times? Car insurance companies and all these other stupid insurance companies wasting our time.